Welcome back, traders and investors. One of our favorite segments, Joe Gits, CEO and founder at Social Media Analytics. Joe will be discussing this week's market sentiment from the pre-market edge report. Joe, you've been hopping in the chat room already. What do you have on the radar?
Hey, good morning, guys. Before we get going, hey, thanks for having me on. I enjoy being on your show every week. It's one of my funnest times. Before I jump right in, for those of you who haven't been listening in the past, we aggregate social media, and it's no secret that social media is moving the news. We've been selling this to hedge funds for a couple of years now, and we really felt that the active trader deserves to have the same information. And so we've got a whole series of reports and interfaces for you guys. So let's jump in and see what's happening today. It's a good social media day. We've got a lot of volume going on, and there's some action in the big names that we talk about.
Okay.
So let's do this. So you guys want to start? Go ahead.
Yeah, go to the top 10. Don't you usually do the top 10 there, or
All
what
right.
do you see are really popping?
So we've got a couple of interesting names on the top 10 list, and a bunch that I don't know. Scientific Games Corp, number 1, Gaming Industries, SGMS.
Bullish or bearish? Bullish or bearish?
Bullish, 4.209 positive.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 4.209 positive with high volume. Someone in the chat room asked me about the significance of volume in social media, and abnormally positive volume is good for a signal. Abnormally low volume means that there is not a lot of strength to that particular signal. So Violin Maker had that question.
He always comes up with good questions.
Yeah, that was a good question. And that one has a high dispersion. That means there's a broad signal. So Scientific Gaming, number 1, Leap Wireless, LEAP, Wireless Communications 4.115. Now, I didn't have a chance to look this morning and see what was driving these. So one of the things, and I think we talk about this every week, is that this is a tool for your toolbox. So what I'll normally do myself is I'll go in and I'll look if something that I don't recognize has a high S score and a high volume. I'll jump to a news site, see if there was an earnings play, see if there was something along those lines too, or I'll even actually look at the tweets. They're normally the best barometer for what's breaking.
Yeah, Leap, I think, though, isn't AT&T buying Leap, so that's probably not going to move that much.
No, that's probably going to gap open and stay there. Good example. Ann Inc., ANN, apparel stores, 4.1, and big volume on that one, big abnormal volume on that one.
Yeah, so that's positive, because we've been trying to figure this one out here in the pre-market. We were just looking at the spreads real wide here, reported earnings here this morning, and it's been 34 to 39. It's tightening here now. We got 34.80 to 35.10 here now. So it is tightening up, but you're saying it's positive.
Oh, yeah, it's positive. And it's got abnormally high volume. The volume's been ticking up. They're cutting 100 corporate jobs. They're looking to consolidate profit.
I just bought 100 shares just for you, Joe.
Right. All right, there you go.
In it to win it.
That's a lot. That's to watch it.
All right, so there we go. So, Ann, Ulta Salon and Cosmetics, ULTA. Is number 4, and that is positive volume and positive. What's interesting is all the top S scores this morning have high volume, which is normally you'll get a smattering of ones that have high S score with not a lot of volume.
Hey, Joe, could you pause on this one for a second?
Yeah.
Because this one kind of has, it's up $6.50.
Yeah, it had earnings last night,
man.
So
that one's going to continue today.
Yeah, that
$1.09 versus a $1.07, 868.1 million. So slight beat top, slight beat bottom. This is the one that had the whole debacle where it gapped down on the earnings report last time. And remember, they were breaking the NASDAQ had let them in on there was some market structure issues there where the closing print all of a sudden had that some traders were taking advantage of the news and getting in on the closing print. Remember that whole Nanix thing that Eric was breaking over there. So it's actually gapping the other way today. It's going back up $5.
100. It hit 100 in the pre-market, guys, and now we
100 even.
100 even. 100 on the kisser. It did that just in that 4 to 415 bracket. Pulled back to the $96 level, getting some nice consolidation there. But boy, oh boy, oh boy. Because I was just looking at the daily chart, and I was licking my chops here to see this thing, because you multiple highs at 91.60, 91.70. But see ya. Like, I'll put my bid there, wait for it to come back. But I'm not chasing this puppy.
Yeah, Ulta, ULTA, yeah, that's a good one. All right. So there are times in social media. So someone asked me in the chat room last week, and it was a great question. And I've actually thought about it a number of times. What percentage of the time is social media acting on the news, and what percentage of the time is news that's already been released, and what percentage of the time is it predictive? And it really comes down to this. If you know what the news is, then it's probably reacting to the news. If you don't know, if you say what is going on there, then social media is leading. So I saw a big story yesterday on CNN, and on the bottom of the CNN it said this story was originally broken on Twitter. So on days when there's an earnings report or a buyout, unless you're watching our metrics real time, you're not gonna see that break before it hits the news. And we have alert services and stuff like that allow you to see that ahead of time. But there are a lot of times where if you know what the news is, and that's what's moving it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, I can remember when Whitney Houston died, actually. I saw it coming across my Twitter feed, and I was like, oh, are you thinking, oh, is this right? I flip it on CNN, and CNN just has regular programming. I'm like, oh, that must be a bad rumor, because CNN would be all over this. Literally 2 minutes later, breaking news. CNN comes in, Whitney Houston, rumored to be dead. And I was like, holy cow, Twitter's like 3-4 minutes ahead of that. And they don't have to verify it. Like, people don't have to come in and verify
That's
stuff.
the key.
Yep.
There you go.
That's the key for us active traders. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So that's why Twitter beats the news, because the news gets their news from Twitter. And then they go in and they verify it. Then they go in and they cross-check sources. That's why we're leading the market. And if you've got access to this stuff in real time like we do, it's a winner, chicken dinner. All right.
How about some bearish ones? Or one more bullish one, then how about some bearish ones?
All right. All right. So last one, Vanda Pharmaceuticals. This one's an interesting one. Been showing up a lot lately. VNDA.
Wow.
It's doing nothing pre-market here, but it was breaking out yesterday, man. So you're looking for a follow-through in this one.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at some of the negatives today. All right, World Acceptance Corp, Financial Credit Services, WRLD. I don't know any of these this morning.
That was destroyed yesterday. I don't know what the deal was with that one either, but holy cow, that was $98 to $78. That's what you call.
Well, there you go.
This thing, an ugly, ugly bloodbath.
You remember WorldCom, Dennis?
Maybe it's just the ticker symbol that's good. The name World. You don't want anything. You don't want to ever own anything that says World.
World dropped yesterday about 2:00 Central Time, and it just flatlined and stayed flatlined. HIBB, Hibbett Sports. Sporting Goods Services, -4 S score. HIBB.
Stock's trading down significantly here too this morning. We're down $2.59 right now. They reported earnings there this morning, 64 cents versus 70 cents, and 217 million versus 221 million. That's a miss on the top and a miss on the bottom, and that equals a bad social media score, I guess there, Joe.
That's exactly what that means. ZUMZ, Zumez. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. -4 and -4.
A -4, like when you say anything over 2 is significant. So when you're getting a
-4,
4, that's very significant.
That's very significant. ZUMZ, and that's what's interesting about social media, is that you get stocks mentioned that you normally don't talk about. Rock and Hilly, yes, we do publish index scores. The index scores are aggregates of the underlying securities, and we do publish those. Those are part of our nightly, actually our pre-market open flash report.
Do you have anything on the S&P 500 right now? Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, let me go in and see what I got. Hang on a second, I'm jumping. I'm jumping back and forth. All right.
So we've had this big sell-off here, obviously, yesterday. I think a lot of people are questioning whether we're going to follow through here with the sell-off or not. We got some support about 10 handles lower than we're trading some pretty major support. Wondering if we're going to test that here today or if the buy the dippers are going to come back in and use this as another opportunity to just get long.
Our current F score is a 1.33, so it's not a 2, but there is positive bias there.
Isn't there always a little bit of positive bias? What would be like
we
the
adjust for that. You're right. There is a positive bias in social media in general, and you have to adjust for that. So we do take into account the fact that there is generally a positive bias in social media. So that when I quote our scores, it's adjusted for any bias that we see in the data. So it's positive, but you got to remember 1.33 is still within that middle range of the standard normal curve.
Hey,
So
Joe, you see Natalie's question in there about alerts? Can you talk a little bit about alerts? Is that the report you're reading from?
Well, I'm reading from our dashboard, and you can. And thanks, Natalie, for that question, because now I get to do a shameless plug. But you get to. It works. You could buy our access to our services. Our flash report gets you access to what's called the dashboard, and the dashboard is what I'm reading from now. So I'm reading from the same front end that our subscribers get. The alerts allow you to enter a universe of securities that you're interested in, and we will notify you by private tweet, text, or email when your criteria are met. So it's a great way to optimize your use of social media.
There you go. That sounds like the way, because that's the way I've always liked to look at a basket of stocks and stuff, as opposed to following the news and the trends and stuff. That would be a very interesting aspect of your service. Joe, just doing a little revisionist history here. We've had huge moves in these fuel cell stocks. Plug, I guess, has been the leader. Citron. I mean, I don't know if you want to disclose or not, but is Citron one of your contributors that that you follow, or are they just too biased when they come out?
You know what? Let me look it up, because I don't have access to that. That is the secret sauce in the Gold Vault. But I will look it up, and I will drop you guys a note.
Okay.
Great.
And what do you got today?
I use the alerts myself, so I put on more trades from the alerts than just about any other component.
Okay. And what do you got on Plug today?
All right.
Traded down 37 cents here in the pre-market at 7.63, so we'll keep an eye on that. I mentioned I love this level. We throw out a lot of levels on the show, but folks, I absolutely love this 850 level. 848 yesterday's high. That coincides with the 50% retracement. So let's see if sellers step down from that at that 848, 850 level.
I'm pulling it up.
Okay. Maybe you need to get your 6-year-old to help you out there a little bit on that.
I do. My technology. Apparently, and Mom is keeping them busy because they haven't bothered me. Just slightly negative on Plug. Neutral is slightly negative.
Slightly negative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So let's jump on some of these. Let's jump on, see what else we got for the short side. All right. Aeropostale we talked about. Raptor Pharmaceuticals, healthcare, -3 and 4.149 on the volume.
Okay, Joe, we got another question here popping in the chat here, and just to close out the show here, we got to get another guest on in a minute. Just address that question, and then we can wrap up the segment.
All right. Is it on the chat?
Yeah, it says, why should I care to pick up your info? Am I going to be able to beat out the institutions? I feel like they always have a jump on the market.
Our info will put you on equal footing with the institutions. And that's a big thing that I believe personally, is that the active trader needs the same information that the pros have. The pros have been using this for 2 years, and they've been beating the market with it. We're making that same information available to the active traders, so they're not always sitting behind the hedge funds of the world. That's why you get our information.
And what about Herbalife? I know I said to end the show. What about Herbalife?
All right. Herbalife, that's always negative. But let me see.
That's always
what do you just follow Bill Ackman? Oh, jinx.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that made a low yesterday. Hat 57.05. Panic low 54.59. That's the one I'd be keeping an eye on here. But what kind of readings you get in the Ackman Icon battle?
What's the symbol for HRB? I'm sorry.
Herbalife's
Which one did you want me to look up?
HLF.
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 That's right. I put the wrong symbol in.
Herb is H&R Block.
Which actually
then
we're coming
H&R
into tax season here, so Herb's always an interesting one when we're coming into tax season, but we're in tax season.
Not getting a whole lot on Herbalife. So H&R Block, HRB. All right.
All right.
Might as well talk about it. We're in tax season here. HRB's been actually pulling back here, so I guess if you're playing the seasonality on that, it hasn't been working here in the last couple of weeks.
HRB2, while Joe's looking it up here, made that low yesterday, 29.63. Had a low at 29.77, 29.40, 48. So it coming into a little support here. It kind of looks like a little bit more than a 50% retracement here from that 28 low. So a little bit of support here for Herb. You got anything on it?
You know what? I don't have anything on it. Okay, there we go. Here comes Herbalife.
We're going back to Herbalife.
And I've got H&R Block. I'm sorry. I'm having network issues.
That's okay. Joe's working from
Yeah,
home today here too.
We have those all the time too.
I guarantee I have a 6-year-old playing Roblox upstairs. All right, 6.6 positive on H&R Block. And if you guys want, I'll hang out in the chat room for a while.
Okay, all right. Joe Gits, president of Social Media Analytics, giving us the Twitter takes from the market today. Thanks a lot, Joe. Stay in the chat for a little bit. We'll talk to you next week.
Socialmarketanalytics.com, guys.
Okay.
Socialmarketanalytics.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Joe.
Bye-bye.